Good evening, everybody. I'm Srikanth. I'm the host for this session, which is being delivered by Romel. Um uh, Romel, as most of you already must have known through the invitation, is the Mount Everest Summit team leader. Is a ultra marathon course record holder for the Leh Ladakh 111-kilometer ultra marathon for the non-Ladakhi category. He also is a half Ironman podium finisher, Boston marathoner who has done his Boston full marathon in 3 hours and 7 minutes. I know him through our IIT Kharagpur fitness group. Today, he will be interviewed by one more full marathoner, Sujoy Jit Mandal. He also is an alumni of IIT Kharagpur, and he also is a sub for full marathoner. So what I will do now is I will hand over to Sujoy to take over. Before that, some house rules. This entire session will be recorded, and I would like people to go on mute. If you're not going on mute, then I'm going to put everybody on mute. If you don't want your video or your face to be identified in the video, please switch off the video as well. And I can see one person by the name Milan Gupta. I'm not able to put you on mute. Please mute yourself. Otherwise, it's going to be a little chaotic in the session. Okay, all right. Rest everybody is gone muted. Milan, can you hear me? Milan? Milan, can you hear me? Because if you're not going to mute, then I'll have to remove you. Milan? Okay, I'll wait for some time. If I'm getting a little more noise, then I'm going to remove him. So the interview is going to be for 45 minutes. And any questions that you want to ask, please put it on the chat window. I will take those questions. 15 minutes before the closure, I will ask those questions to Romil, and Romil will respond. Any questions that are not being able to be answered, we will take it offline and get Romil to answer them, and I'll figure out a way to send the responses back. Okay, I'm requesting Milan Gupta once again to mute. If you're not able to mute, then I'll have to remove in a little while.
Srikanth, I think he sent on a chat box that he's already muted.
No, but I am not able to.
That's okay. If you're not getting any sound,
Right.
I think, let's just
right.
start with that.
Okay, so Sujoy, I'll hand it over to you. Please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Are you able to hear me, Shrikantanda?
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Hey, Romil. Hi. Hi, everybody. So what I will do is I will be the spokesperson for all the people those who are here. I've got some bunch of questions based on my experiences and also the questions that I had when I started, training for my marathon. So the way I'm going to ask these questions is I'm going to start from a beginner's mind. Beginner's mind, a person who does not know too much, okay, or for that matter, does not know anything about running, and then slowly we will start developing those questions. Okay. I will not get into the nitty-gritties of running. I will not get into the nitty-gritties of what is the correct running form, or how much of carbs should I be having, and what kind of functional training that I need to do for my glutes, etc. What I'll do is I'll touch base upon some of the major topics in such a way that we get some insights into where we need to focus on, so that once we have those major milestones defined, okay, then the folks here can actually slowly start noting that, okay, you need to do functional training, you of course you need to have nutrition specifically on these directions, etc. And then they can start developing those, or at least researching on those particular areas. Okay. So let me start off. The first things first, Rommel. Okay. So mountaineering, ultra running, and then etc. Plus, you have a background in, you are in the army. Okay. So, and that too, from what I know, is that you are from EME, the engineering background. Okay, the engineering part of army, not the infantry. Okay. So, what motivated you, or what gave you the drive to focus on to running? And even in running, you could have just be happy with the 5 kilometers and 10 kilometers, because I know my brother-in-law is in the army, and I know that usually the training that you guys do, okay, as part of a normal EME group training, is that you do maybe in a week, on a long day you might do a 10K. Otherwise it would be a 3K or a 5K or 10K. What made you move towards marathon, then ultra marathon? Why running and why marathon?
Okay, first of all, good evening, everyone. Thanks, Surya, for asking the questions. So I'll start with what pulled me into running, and then how I continued running. So as you said, being from the army, your distances generally are restricted to 5K, and very, very rare opportunities you'll get to do a 10K sort of a thing. That's how the cross-country distances between 10 to 12K in the army. So it happened once I reached Kharagpur, the second year of MTech, you get adequate amount of time, and then the campus was such that people started running. And these days, youngsters as well, they are very much into fitness conscious, because most of the time they are on tablets, mobiles. So that's how it all started. And then it was like we started running a bit, and slowly the distances kept on increasing. From Kharagpur, I remember I used to do a 10 or 15. I pulled up till a 15K there, and then subsequently, once I got posted after Kharagpur to Hyderabad, I got in touch with the running group. That was my first exposure to training and a running group as such. And the running group there, Hyderabad Runners, was amazing. In fact, that was the first event I did once I reached Hyderabad. I thought I had registered for a half marathon, and then the race day morning, I realized, the bib they had given. Based on that, I realized accidentally I had registered for a full. And that's how I had to run a full marathon in the morning. And the problem came once by 21, I had still done 121K before that. And the morning after I reached 21, I realized, again there was another 21 to go. So slowly, I somehow dragged myself, finished the full marathon, and then I thought, no, I need to train well. And that's how I got into Hyderabad Runners proper structured training plan, and then picked up from there. So it's like you crave for more. Once you get a high, once you're doing 21, the next immediate target becomes a 42 and then ultra. So that was the reason.
Okay.
The instant rewards you get after finishing a run gives you that high.
Okay. So you were running, and then you moved to structured running. Okay.
Exactly.
Now.
Yeah.
What do you mean by structured running? That's one. And second is based on your experience, because you were running in the army, you had some background in running, okay, and from what I understand, early on you guys run as part of the NDA training, and then when you get into your units, you have your weekly strength training and exercises and etc. You have running there also, okay, and then you're talking about structured running, okay.
Right.
What is structured running, and what do you think the beginners, okay, people, those who are maybe beginners, I would say people, those who want to do from couch to 5K to 10K, or beginners, those who are doing 5K, and they want to move on to 10K or 21K, what are the 3 key things that they need to start focusing to get it right when they're running, so that they do not get injured and they are progressing, in a proper way?
Okay. So by structured running, what I meant was that during my army training, they condition you well for your mental growth. You mean not just the physical aspects of running; it's the complete thing. So I remember the times when we used to come back after dinner in the army and during the training days, and then we used to go for runs, a 5K or a 10K, not realizing that you should have some gap or those sort of things, because you've got to be prepared for different situations in army. So they used to have training like that.
Okay.
Don't follow a structure, follow anything is possible. Your requirements could be such. So that thing continued, and then similar was the once we used to go for runs and other things. There was never a time when I remember doing a 10K and used to have water. I mean, it was unheard of that where you need to drink water once you're doing a 10K, even a 15 or a 21K. Once we were there in the army, so that time it was purely that you have to run, you finish a run and finish it off. But then once you get into a group wherein you have people who focus on running, not just on other things of aspects of life, but then only on running. Then you realize that there needs to be a proper plan you should follow. By structure, I meant was you need to have a plan that, let's in my case, my first plan which I took was run less, run fast. By a guy called Bill Pierce, whom I met during the Boston Marathon as well. So what he used to say was that you need to run 3 days a week, and other 3 days or 4 days you need to do cross training. Be it swimming, be it cycling, be it yoga, whatever. But then 3 days of runnings need to be, one has to be a interval or a speed workout, which we say. Other one has to be a tempo run. Third used to be a long run. So that was the first plan, wherein you have a structure which says that on Tuesdays you need to do intervals. On Friday oblique a Thursday you do a tempo, and on Sunday will be a Sunday long run. So that used to be a structure I used to follow, and then plans vary from 12 weeks, 16 weeks, right up to 24, 26 weeks. So if you follow a structure, then it gives you a lot of confidence once you're doing, and you can measure it at different levels where all your progress has been, and you I mean kind of note it down every time. And the main advantage is once you finish a run after a structured plan, I mean if you were, let's say that time you were preparing for Mumbai Marathon, so you once you finish the marathon, you see the results, then you realize without that structure you won't have gone anywhere close to this. So in my case, from 422 I quickly came to 330, 328 after following that structured plan. So the structure helps you. But then this is for people who are going for full marathons. You need to have a proper training plan and all. For a person, let's say the next part of your question was from a couch to 5K. So recently we were there in IIM Lucknow from January till about March. So there we thought, me and few other runners, we realized that we need to have a couch to 5K kind of a program for the students and the people who are there in the campus, because the campus provides a lot of facility to run and good surroundings. So we said we need to have. So initially, once we started running, there was a loop about 2 kilometers. We used to run there, but then we realized people were getting injured very frequently, on the hard surface, getting carried away with other people. So you tend to get injured. So what we realized, we'll do focus on strengthening. We'll do less of running, more of strengthening, and slowly we'll focus more on running in that case. So initially we did a bit of warm up, let's say about 15-20 minutes. Then we used to have half an hour of strength training, wherein we used to have a lot of drills to be followed. I mean, what kind of workouts need to be done, stretching, strengthening exercises, planks, core, building up your muscles. And then we slowly graduated to longer distances along with the plan as well. So that's where the structure and couch to 5K thing is there. For a person who wants to go do couch to 5K, his approach should be, first of all, discipline. If you can get up every day or every second day to go for a run, that means you have to go. It's not that, I'll skip 1 day, skip 2 days. Skipping 1 day doesn't matter. But then these small things build up and then you lose focus. So make sure once you have committed, good running group, you are answerable to someone who's already waiting for you in the morning, you have already committed, then you become more you're forced to run or forced to go wake up and go for a run. So discipline is there, group run is important. And then other thing, as I said, if you have a structure, you know that 5K is there, so if I have to in a group, if you have people who are like-minded, then your discussion topics, everything changes accordingly. So it's important you follow these plans if you want to go from a couch to 5K. Once you've been doing it for some time, then you can always graduate and your focus changes to different aspects.
So you talked about structure. Now let's understand this structure and let's understand this concept of interval, tempo, and long runs. Okay. Now, usually, if you see, any of these, most of these structured plans have this interval, tempo, and long. And if you add the mileage together, around in a week, it will be around say 50 to 70K. Maybe say 40 to 70K for lesser mortals like us. For the people, those who are doing higher ones, it can go to 100 kilometers, etc. Question to
Right.
you is, now this is a structure,
Yeah.
and then you also have these things floating around on Instagram and people publicizing on on Facebook and etc. Yeah, we will go for 100 days of 10K run every day. That is
Right.
also a structured plan, right? It's like 100
Correct.
days of 10K every day.
Right.
Now, if you do that
Exactly.
per week, is approximately 70K. Okay.
Right.
How different is 100 days of 10 from 3 or 4 days of run, or let's just take 3 days of run where we have an interval, one tempo, and one long run? What is the difference that you see here?
See,
What would you
first,
recommend, or what
right.
would you not recommend?
So my philosophy of training is totally opposite to all this.
Okay.
I focus more mainly on mileage because I
Okay.
focus on events. If you're training for a 5K, you cannot run a marathon.
Okay.
Similarly, if you're training for a marathon, then there's no point running in 5K events if your main aim is a full marathon. So
Okay.
you need to know what is your target race.
Okay.
Right? If you're training for a marathon, make sure your plan is like that.
Okay.
I'll give you an example, which means if you're training for a full marathon, you need to know the most important aspect in your training has to be aerobic base.
Okay.
Which means that you should be focusing on long distance runs because, as they say, 99% of the time you are in your aerobic zone, which means the oxygen you are consuming, you're not huffing and puffing once you're doing a run.
Okay.
If you're huffing puffing, that means you're going into that what we call the anaerobic zone, which is ideal for short distance runs. Let's say 100 meter sprint or a 800-meter run, that sort of a thing. So if you know your target is a full marathon, or for that matter even a half marathon, 98% of the time you're going to be in your aerobic zone, then there's no point going for a lot of intervals. I find a lot of people getting crazy about intervals. I don't know why.
Okay.
See,
Okay.
if your target is a 5K, even then I think 80% of the time you'll be in aerobic zone.
Okay.
So the difference between the time you utilize between your aerobic and anaerobic depends on the kind of event.
Okay. Let's take marathon. Let's take marathon. Okay. I am training for marathon.
Okay.
And I take your point. I have got to be in the aerobic zone most of the time.
Exactly.
Okay. And from the looks of it, if I do a 70K mileage per week, I am good.
Right.
Okay. Let's just take 70K mileage for a week. Okay. And I'm going to train for say 6 months or say 1 year.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Now, that 6 months, should I be doing 10K every day?
Okay.
Or, because that's what I was talking about, 100 days of 10K,
right,
versus you have these 1 day of interval, 1 day of tempo, and 1 day of a long run. Okay. Interval max around 5K, tempo around, or let me put it this way, interval along with the warm up and this thing is around 10K. Tempo runs along with the warm up and everything is around 15K. And the rest, okay, taking around 70 or 50, okay, is the long runs. Okay. What would you recommend? The 10K of 100 days, or these structure where you have a structure, interval, tempo, and this?
See, frankly speaking, 7 days of 10K is a stupidity.
Awesome.
You're not, I mean, I'll be very blunt. Okay. I'm sure, I feel it's a stupidity. There'll be people who would, vouch for it. No, you should be doing it. I feel it's a, if you're doing the same workout every day, 7 days a week, 10K, then it becomes, and if you register for something like 100 days of running, then you're forcing yourself even once you're not feeling comfortable to run. I've seen people going crazy. It's more of Facebook, Insta kind of runners rather than actual runners who are going to benefit from it as far as your physiology is concerned.
Okay.
So I personally, I would not at all recommend anybody to do a same distance for, let's say, 100 days or even for that matter 50 days. I mean,
Okay.
I would never ever do that.
Okay.
If you want to do it just for the sake of it, please go ahead and do it. Please post photographs whenever you want to do. It's up to you. But then it's not going to benefit you as far as the running is concerned. There are better ways of improving your runs.
Okay.
Next point comes intervals, tempo, and long runs.
Okay.
This is better than the previous one, but I feel still if you're doing 3 workouts per week and you're distributing your time equally into all 3, again, it's not going to help. I've done it, as I said, during Run Less, Run Fast, and my coach used to tell me after I told him, I had a coach after I did a 328, I wanted to do a Boston qualifier. So I used to tell him that let me stick to this plan of three runs a week, and then because I've improved, I'll improve in future as well. So what he told me was very, very interesting. He said, initially it's very easy to improve. If you've done a 422, it's easy to come to a 4 or a 340 or a 345.
Okay.
For that matter, 330 as well. But then once you reach a plateau, it's where you hit. After that, that becomes a problem. Then each run, each progression becomes that much difficult.
Yeah.
Right. So the important part is you try different training plans, see what suits you. So I tried Run Less, Run Fast. Then as I'm a strong believer of this guy called Arthur Lydiard. He used to be a New Zealand coach. And if somebody goes on the internet and reads about him, I'm sure, going to benefit a lot. At least it suited my kind of a philosophy, which means that if 99% of the time you are in the aerobic zone for a full marathon, then at least 90% of the time you should be training only for the easy runs, aerobic runs.
Okay.
And then 10% of the time should be your tempo, and then 2 to 3% should be intervals.
Okay.
So he follows a plan of periodization, which means that if you are, and it starts backwards from the day of event. So he says that if you have a 6 months plan, the way you asked, so the 6 month plan, 4 month, or let's say 3 months should be the time when you should be doing your aerobic runs.
Okay.
He was again a proponent of lots and lots of mileage. So one is for 3 months you do long slow runs. Then for 1 month, 4 weeks, he used to say, 1 month you should be doing your hill workouts. I am a big fan of hill workouts. I feel that hill workouts should be the part. If you have in a place like Delhi, you don't get hills at all. But then once I was in Hyderabad, I just freaked out. Hill workouts really makes a lot of difference for your training runs.
Okay.
So 3 months long runs, 1 month of these hill workouts, 4. 5th month is going to be your intervals, oblique fartleks or whatever, speed workouts, what we say. And next 3 weeks last will be on your 2 weeks will be basically for your mixing of both wind sprints, again short distances, sprints sort of a thing, and then will be your taper, about 2 to 3 weeks, because in this case the mileage is going to be high, your intervals are going to be much more difficult. So it's basically your polarized training. So once you're doing long runs, you're focusing on long runs. Once you're doing intervals, you're focusing on intervals. That's the aim.
Okay. So from what you're saying is that during the hard days, go hard. During the relaxed days, be relaxed. Don't turn it upside down. Okay.
Exactly.
Good. Okay. Now, how long have you been running right now?
See, long distance, the way I said, 2012 was the time once I did my first full. So I didn't do a half before that. Mine was directly full. So 2012 was my first full. And this is 2020 now. 8 years, right? But before that, my base was strong because of being in the army. So 5K, 10K was, kind of normal. Every other day we used to do it.
Okay. So go back to your NDA days.
Okay.
NDA days, 4 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
Right.
Tell me what mistakes you made during that time in running. Okay, now hold on to that thought. Fast forward to your pre-marathon when you are, training in Kharagpur. Tell me the mistakes that you made during that time. Then the mistakes that you made during marathon, and after marathon when you were training, what were the mistakes that you made? Just walk us through some of the mistakes so that we can learn from that.
Sure. So before my So rather than dividing into 3 parts, I'll divide into
Okay.
2 parts.
Okay.
One was before I joined Hyderabad Runners. One was
Okay.
after I joined the
Perfect.
Hyderabad Runners.
Perfect. Okay.
Because before Hyderabad Runners, there was no structure. I used to just
Okay.
get up, go for
Uh-huh.
runs, and my main aim used to be, if I'm exhausted after the run, that means I'm done for the day. I mean,
Acha. Acha.
that was pretty obvious.
Acha.
If you cannot squeeze your vest and then sweat is not coming, that means there's no
Okay.
point. I mean, you've wasted your time.
Okay.
That used to be the mentality right from the first day I started running in NDA.
Uh-huh.
The time I finished my runs, till the time I was there in Hyderabad, joined the Hyderabad Runners.
Mhm.
Because before that, I never knew there needs to be a structure or
Okay.
any science which is involved in running. My funda used to be that if you've gone for a run, make the full value of that time by running as fast till the time your tongue comes out. I mean, you're exhausted completely.
Okay.
Till that time, you've wasted your time. I mean,
Okay.
but then once I got into the structure, I realized, that's not the correct way. You should be training so that you are, what are you training for basically? So you do 1 or 2 events, maximum 3 events a year. And then once you know which events you want to focus, then you prepare accordingly. So I see running is the simplest thing because you either run and then you recover. Only these 2 things you need to keep in mind.
Okay.
You run, the moment you finish your run, you recover till the time you start your next run. So problem is, if you're not striking a balance between running and recovery, then it's a problem. If you keep running, not recovering, then you get injured.
Okay.
If you keep recovering and you don't run, that means you gain weight and there's no point doing it.
Okay. Okay.
So that balance is important between your run and recovery for the next run.
Okay. 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 So, in that case, extending your thought here, so you are saying that there should be run and there should be recovery. Okay.
Correct.
If
Absolutely.
that is the case,
Yeah.
Say I ran a 10K event.
Right.
Okay, I ran a 10K event. 2 weeks down the lane, I have another 10K. Okay. And after that, 3 weeks down the lane, I have another 10K.
Okay.
Okay. I'm talking about events.
Got it.
Okay. Putting these things in mind, first of all, should I be, registering for events after events? If not, what gap should I maintain between events? Why and why? Should I even maintain gaps? Why not, run events and get medals as much as possible and, improve, because I am testing myself and I am monitoring my progress. I feel that I am recovered. What are your thoughts on these events to events?
After running for, let's say, 8 years, full marathons and interacting with a lot of people, I've realized, almost 70 to 80% of the runners whom I meet now won't be there next year. The ones who are joining now. Just because of this same thing. They want to capture all the medals which are there available.
Okay.
And then they'll get injured and they'll never recover and start running again. So that's a big, big mistake registering for a lot of events. Be very, very selective. There's no point running for 1 year, 2 years. You need to run for longevity. I mean, you should be running as far as possible in life, which is not possible if you register for a lot of events going a lot of. At times I've seen, and people don't know how to peak for an event. If you're registering every Sunday or every month one event, then you don't know your optimum performance. You're not hitting it.
Okay.
That's why I see a lot of people, they'll do a full marathon today at a pace of 6. Tomorrow they'll say they have a recovery, they have run a 10K and at 5:30 pace. And they'll post it on Facebook, they'll post it everywhere around the world that today I've done a full marathon, all out effort at a pace of, let's say, 6:30. Tomorrow they're doing a recovery and at a 5:30. That means you've done justice to your event which you've done. Which is, I mean, how stupid can it be?
Okay. Okay.
So ideally, you should be selecting your races and make sure that you peak at the right time. If you've done your best a week prior to the event, then there's no point, You keep posting it, keep feeling good about it, but on the day of the event, you have messed up. So you got to peak at the right time, at the right event.
Okay. So there is the peaking concept. So, you take your time, you train, and then, you come for that event.
Right.
Let's take that and let's understand a person, from couch to 5.
Okay.
What should be the time span? Okay. And then should I move from 5 to 10, or should I do a few more 5s, then I move to 10? And then once I have done 10, how many 10s should I do to move on to 21? How many 21 should I do to move on to a full? What do you think should be a mix? Rough. I don't want any specific say that okay, you
Right.
have to do one, or there is no point. You can directly jump into a 42. I'm fine. But
Okay.
tell
Got
us.
it. So the point is, in running, I don't believe in generalization. So
Okay.
a person who is massively overweight, there's no point for him to think that within a month or two he'll be able to go from a couch to 5K. That depends on your present state.
Okay.
But if you are in decent fitness
Mm-hmm.
and you've been you've been regular in your workouts, or at least walking and all,
Mm-hmm.
1 to 2 months is pretty fine time from a couch to 5K.
Okay.
And that 5K doesn't mean you got to finish a 5K in 18 minutes. 5K
Okay.
finishing means 5K finishing. That's all.
Okay.
So you can go. But similarly, once you are comfortable with doing 5K,
Mm-hmm.
keep doing it for some time. 3 to 4 months, 10K again, it's possible. But then
Okay.
10K to 21K, you should take time if you've not been doing it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And 21 to 42 is a different ball game. The way we say it's not twice of 21. Because
Okay.
with less of training,
Hey.
the moment you feel that 21 and 42 is just the double, I mean, you're going for a big mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So ideally you should take time from 21, go to 25, go to 30, go to 35, because most of the people who would be listening now would realize, doing a 42 in 2.5 hours is it's not possible for, I mean, most of us. And
Mm-hmm.
they say that after 2.5 hours of continuous running, it becomes the law of diminishing returns. So no workout of mine has been more than 2.5 hours, even once you're training for long, I mean, full marathons or Boston.
Okay.
So generally they say after 2.5 hours, you should stop your workout, go for a break, and then maybe at times I used to go for morning, evening, 2 times a day. So
Okay.
I used to spend it between 2.5 hours in the morning, again in the evening.
Okay.
Because then if your form is not, if you're not able to hold your form, if you're not able to get your reserves for running, then there's no point dragging yourself. That means you are injuring so much and then you're not recovering well. So
Okay.
that's why I feel
Okay.
you should take time once you're doing a 42. That's for sure.
Okay. So one of the stuff that I want to discuss is injuries. Okay. Because that is the this. But before moving to that, we talked about some of the mistakes that you have made.
Right.
We also heard about some of the mistakes that you are seeing people make, like doing 10Ks for 100 days, or jumping from event to event. Okay.
Right.
What are the other mistakes? That is one that you think people are doing, and what are the wastes of time? Okay, which is a big this thing that you see in running. People are doing something which are really you feel are waste of time.
The waste of time mostly is that people look at others. Like in my case, I'll tell you. Once I did a full marathon, as I said, I had
Mhm.
registered for a half, but then I had to do a full. So
Okay.
everybody thought it's easy to do a full marathon because if he can do it, we can do it as well.
Okay.
They didn't realize my background of being in army for so many years was the reason I could do it. Nobody's a superhuman.
Okay. Okay.
So if somebody who's met me in Hyderabad during those days would think
Uh-huh.
that I've been with the Hyderabad runners for 2 months and then I've been able to do a 422 full marathon, that means
Uh-huh.
anybody can do it with 2 months of effort.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah.
Which doesn't
Yeah.
happen. So that's why, whatever be the case, there are no shortcuts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know how I've struggled. My friends in army, my NDA squadron types, and all those
Uh-huh.
people who've been closely associated to me know what struggles I've gone through.
Mm-hmm.
But the people whom I'm interacting now are seeing the version of me once they've not seen the base training or those kind of trainings which I've gone through.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. Correct.
So first is don't look for shortcuts. Nobody is ever gone far off in running based on shortcuts. There are a lot of people, I know friends, I know a few of them who have started running now, let's say, and done a 5K, and within 1 year they've done comrades. But then these are the people who have never come back to running after that. You know, they've been injured so badly.
Yeah.
So which is, I mean, I'm sure nobody wants that. Everybody wants that they should be able to run for long. So first and foremost, everybody's aim should be to run as far as possible. Second, if timing comes, it's fine. If you're consistent and disciplined, obviously you will improve your timing. The more you run, the more you improve. That's for sure. Provided you're taking the recovery into account.
Okay.
As regards the major mistake I did was one race I messed up because I was hoping to qualify for Boston Marathon and Standard Chartered Mumbai Marathon. I couldn't because my race plan was not proper.
Okay.
Once you've given your 100% for a event and you've trained the complete year with your heart and soul, you get carried away the moment the run starts. You know, you start very fast, and then if you have started very fast, then your planning goes haywire. So that happened with me. So that's why I say that your training ends the moment you cross the finish line. It's not the moment you start, you feel, okay, now you can go. I mean, you can let your guard down, which doesn't happen. So it's important till the time you reach the finish line, you maintain your focus. Other mistake people do is that they listen to one structure today. Next day they'll read something else, they get carried away. Somebody will say, okay, eat potato. Somebody will say, eat protein. Somebody will say, eat avocados or kiwis. So, I mean, it doesn't pay that way. So whatever the Indian diet is there, that is pretty good. There's few foods which are locally available. Focus on that as far as the nutrition and all is concerned. That is surely going to be more beneficial than getting some fruit or seeds from abroad. So it's important to maintain your focus and if you have picked up a plan, make sure you stick to it for some time rather than switching plans in between. No, this one is good. This guy, Romulus, said that he used to follow this, I'll follow that. So take your time, have faith in your plan, and then only shift once you realize that you've not been able to perform, attribute it to that plan. It's not that you've trained well in the race day, you make a mistake and you see the plan is bad. You know, so introspect that what went wrong and improve from there.
Yeah. So I'll just add. It reminds me of few stuff because till date,
right,
I have not seen magic happen in running. So when I say magic, it's like, oh, that guy, he comes out of nowhere and he's winning podiums. That she's a mother of a 13-year-old and she just came, she trained for this thing. No way. Okay, that guy and this thing, no way. Only when you start asking that person, what's your background, then you realize that that lady or that guy has been a track athlete, all her life since she was a kid. Okay, she had been carrying it all this thing. So there is that body, the whole biomechanics has already been primed for that long. That biomechanics is already there. Of course, after birth of a baby or something like that, it would have gone down. But once they pick it up, they are not picking up from a scratch. Okay, something would have happened. Absolutely. Same thing goes with a diet. Oh, that guy, he picked up this diet. This guy. Just to give you an example, magic stuff in running. Scott Jurek, he became vegan and suddenly he was already a champion.
Exactly.
Vegan diet just made a few dent to it. It's not that vegan diet made him a champion. He was already a champion. Obviously. Okay, Rich Roll, already he was a champion. Diet added to that, because if you see some of the people, so let's not attribute magic to people. There is always 10 years, 15 years of training behind an overnight success. Yeah. And then you are very much right about mixture of plans. This is what I've seen. I have talked to my friends there, saying that, okay, my coach gave me this plan, but I feel, this is not a correct plan.
Correct.
Okay. And I am supposed to do just the 400 meters intervals for 5. I think I can do 10.
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
and they have got injured. And the question that I have it, okay, fine, no, you have a plan A, and then you have, first of all, why are you even paying this coach if you think that your plan is better?
Exactly.
You're wasting the time, wasting the
Yeah.
money. Second is there's a plan A, and then there's your plan B. Two things can happen. One is you succeed, other is you fail.
Right.
If you fail, it's usually injuries. Did it happen because of plan B or did it happen because of plan A?
Mm.
You wouldn't know.
True.
Okay. Most probably it would be because of plan B, because you're not as smart enough or you did not have do your research good enough to understand is it your plan, because you have not understood running so far.
Yeah.
That guy is a coach because you have trained so many people. So do not try to mix plans. Stick with a plan for a season or two to figure out if this plan is going to work for you. If not, shift to another coach, but follow that plan to the T.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, good. Now moving on from that one, injuries.
Right.
What are the top injuries that you have come across, and what are the most probable causes for injuries? How do we avoid them?
Okay, so I've been lucky that way because, as I said, my base was strong. Being in the army, a lot of strength exercises, training, and my build-up was good because of running 5K and 10K for past so many years. Like I joined NDA in '94, 94 to 2020 now. So it's been 24 years of, now 26 years kind of running.
Okay.
So build-up was there. Muscle strength and all had developed by the time I picked up long distance running. So that was advantage. Other thing was that being in the army, as you said about the training plans as well, we are good in taking orders and giving orders. So once I knew I had to pick up this plan, that means I had 100% faith in the coach who had given me this plan.
Okay.
Be it run less, run fast, or be it the Arthur Lydiard plan I had picked up. So that was easy. Regarding injuries, first and foremost is I suffered from knee injury earlier, but then that was long time back. After that, I realized the moment of early signs of injury, I used to back off. Back off means I used to take adequate amount of rest, and I've never done any event after getting injured. So that's why all my events, I've done very less events, but then all my full marathons have been my personal best. I've never done any marathon wherein I have not scored a personal best because the number of events I've done is very, very less, which makes sense. So the moment I tend to get injured, no events as such. There's no question at all that I would do any event. Second is I'll back off. I'll not run through an injury and then I'll compromise in long run as far as my fitness is concerned.
Okay.
Other is I focus a lot on recovery. So recovery has been very, very important for me, which means I have a foam roller, I have a massage stick, I have that Thera can which is there. Then I do take a lot of time before and after the run as far as the warm up and cool down is concerned.
Okay.
So if I have half an hour available with me, I'll make sure at least 5 minutes or 8 minutes I'll do a walk before I start the run. And after I finish the run, similar amount of time I'll do a walk after I finish the run.
Okay.
So it's not that most of the times I've seen people, they'll wait for a runner to join once they are there early in the morning. They'll chat for that time. The moment somebody comes, they start shoot. And then the moment gets over, pick up your bike and go back home. So that is obviously not a recommended option. So simple thing is that before a run, do a good warm up. After a run, again cooling down. And after all these things, go back home, focus on a diet and focus on the recovery, which, as I said, the thing is rice, which we say. We have rest, then you have icing, and then compression and elevation. So if you follow these four things along with a good diet and good sleep, then you will follow. As I always feel that, if your office is hectic, if you're not getting adequate amount of time, there's no point aiming for a Boston Marathon or even a marathon. There's no point getting injured trying to prove something to someone. If your life is very hectic, do a 10K, be happy with that. 10K is not a small distance. That itself is a good achievement. I'm sure anybody who starts running 10K is a big milestone. It's just that once we see people around, we see somebody doing a full or an ultra or a Malnad, whatever. And then you see, no, I should also be doing, not realizing that his lifestyle is totally different from mine. So there's no one to say that okay, if you do a full marathon you'll be an accomplished runner. I mean, it depends upon the time availability and the recovery mechanism of each person.
Okay.
So Sujoy,
Yeah.
we have somehow covered 45 minutes. What I'm going to do, I've just compiled all the questions from the chat window. I'm going to WhatsApp it to you. You
Okay.
can start asking questions from that list, whichever you feel is appropriate. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just going to send that to you. Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Okay. Right now, I am looking at some of the questions here. Okay.
Okay.
I'm just sending it to you, Sujay. Just
Okay. Okay.
yeah, you carry on. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
rice is, I'd say again, rest. Second is icing. C is compression. So I've been a big fan of compression, be it upper body as well as the lower ones. And fourth is elevation. So if you follow that, it's going to help. But then you need to have adequate time for that.
Okay. So I see a whole bunch of questions around running. Okay. I will try to keep them in a bucket here.
Sure.
So let me start off with some very interesting questions. Okay, questions about some of the folks, those who have started running in their second-hand Javani. So right now I'm in my second-hand Javani. Okay,
Right.
Romil, you would have just entered into that phase,
No,
and most of us are in.
Way past. Way past that.
Okay. Okay. Now questions. First things first. Okay. I'm going to bundle them together. Okay, saying that okay, I start running and I get injured.
Right.
Does that mean running is not for me and I should pick up something else? Number one. Okay. At this age, should I even start running given the fact that my heart, okay, it's in a dicey situation. We have this thing, or for that matter, I have a heart condition.
Okay.
Should I pick up running? Okay.
Okay.
With respect to age, what consideration should I have when I'm picking up running?
Okay. So with respect to age, I would say that, don't be over ambitious.
Okay.
Start from where you are. If you have a heart condition, first and foremost is before running, ask your doctor. If he recommends, if he clears you, only then you should start. I mean, there's no point keep running thinking that nothing will go wrong with me. I'm feeling fine and not listening to the doctor. So doctor in this case would be the ideal one. Take the medical advice, get all your tests done, be it vitamin D test or B12. There are a lot of host of tests which are available on the internet as far as the runners are concerned. Make sure you're not low on any of those levels which are required in the body. So I'm not the right person. The doctors are going to be the right person. Take the clearance from the doctor and then only you should start. See, another problem is running doesn't mean you keep running for the whole distance. Like I did a 185 kilometer during stadium run. People think that I ran the complete distance. So you run, you walk, there's no harm. Have a good mix of run, walk, which is perfectly fine. So there's no shame in saying that I run and then I walk and then I run. So absolutely fine. You should do that when you are feeling exhausted. Other thing you could do is that run for some time, but then whenever you're running, there's a thing as we call it a talking test. Talking test means once you should be able to talk once you're running. If you're not able to talk once you're running, that means you're going beyond your capacity. Okay. Other thing is you could use a heart rate monitor, but then that's a different topic altogether, very time consuming. So I mean, not the right place to start with that. Yeah. So thing is, make sure you're not exhausting too much once you're running. That's most important. If you're able to run, then it's fine. As regards injuries are concerned, I would say, anybody who starts running, be rest assured you're bound to get injured. At a point of time, I think that if you're not getting injured, that means you're not pushing yourself enough also. So even if you get injured, console yourself by saying, you've been pushing enough. Next time you'll be more aware that the early signs of injuries you'll be able to pick up better. So there's no harm in getting injured. Get injured, make sure you recover well, and then you start again. Okay. That's for sure. Everybody who's got injured, anybody who is a runner, right from any novice who's never run to Kipchoge, top runners, everybody gets injured. So don't keep it in your mind that you've got injured, you're not fit for running. Make sure
Okay.
you pick up slowly from where you are, be it walks. If you're not running, doesn't matter. Go
Okay.
for long walks, half an hour, 45 minutes. Then you mix walks with runs.
Mhm.
You walk for 10 minutes, do a 1 minute run. Then next time you do a 9 minute walk and then 2 minute run. This way
Mhm.
you can reduce your walking time and then increase your running time subsequently.
Okay.
So that can be done.
Okay.
Heart ailment, as I said, doctors are the right people
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
tell you.
Now moving on to one of the biggest topics.
Yeah.
Okay. So, just a couple of months ago, a documentary came, The Game Changer, which said that if you eat vegan food, you're gonna be a champion. Okay, Scott Jurek talks about vegan food, you're gonna be champion. And then, so I'm gonna follow vegan food. But then when I look at the eating habits of the Kipchoges and Bekeles and all of these guys, they eat, copious amounts of rice with little amount of meat and lots of tea. Maybe I
Right.
should follow that. Or there are these champions, Tim Noakes, who is the authority on, endurance running, and Maffilton, who's an authority on endurance running. They talk about low carb and high fat food.
Right.
For that matter, they will say, boss, you have to eat your meat and your this thing. And what should I follow? Okay, for my this thing. And if I'm an Indian, what Indian diet should I follow? Should I follow the South Indian diet or should I follow the North Indian diet? Which will give me the advantage?
See, if you call 10 runners,
Yeah,
they'll give you 10 different advices. That's for sure.
perfect.
What you need to see is what suits you.
Uh-huh.
Don't try and because you've been built up with a different genetic built up bent of distinct genes.
Uh-huh.
So your forefathers have been following one particular diet. You've been built up with that.
Mm-hmm.
So try and stick to what is locally available. I strongly advocate that. And go ahead with that diet. Indian diet that way is very, very good compared to ones we have for foreigners who are
Okay.
more dependent on breads and those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
What I personally would do is that I would focus mostly on fruits, vegetables, and homemade stuff. Have
Okay.
lots and lots of green leafy vegetables, whatever are available locally.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead with that. Have lots of fruits.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever is available locally is going to be much more beneficial than what you get imported.
Okay.
Meat, chicken, I would not say I'm against them. Only thing is that if you can have your own poultry farm, then it is fine, because then you are
Okay.
ensuring those are not injected enough, or those steroids and have not been given to them,
Okay.
which is not generally possible. So
Okay.
if something is adulterated, it is not good. Everybody knows it.
Mm-hmm.
So focus on the stuff on which you have that peace of mind, that this is going to be genuine stuff, and go ahead with that.
Okay. So we have talked about injuries. We have talked about nutrition. One of the very clear this thing is about strength training.
Right.
Okay. What kind of strength training should we do, specifically runners?
Okay.
How much? Okay. What should I focus on?
See, strength training, again, I have got a very different view. I don't believe in going to the gym. If you have to go and do strength training for runners, I think your body weight exercises are sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recommend going and doing lots of weights, because it's not ideal for a long distance runners to do that.
Okay.
If you bulk up, it's only going to increase your weight. Every gram of weight which you're carrying is not going to help you in running.
Mm-hmm.
So focus should be on building up your core muscles.
Mm-hmm.
Normal exercises like lunges, planks, squats, lower body exercises, those are enough for you to exercise. Focus more time on running.
Okay.
As I said, I believe the more you run, the more you improve, provided you have adequate recovery in your plan.
Okay.
So strength training and all is okay if you have running, if you are able to manage your time after running. And then strength training should be focused on your legs, those muscles, running muscles, as well as your core.
Okay.
Little bit of exercises for the upper body is okay, but then it's mostly for full marathoners, wherein your body form and all takes into play. And then upper body exercise doesn't mean, I think planks and push-ups are sufficient. Nothing more than that. If you feel
Okay.
you need to carry 100 kg weight, it's not going to benefit anyway. That's my
Okay.
personal opinion.
Okay. Just to quickly, summarize what you have just talked about nutrition as well as strength training, so that because I'm seeing a whole bunch of questions which are a repeat, I feel, is that when it comes to nutrition, 10 people are going to give 10 different nutrition plans for you.
Correct.
Okay. As
Yeah.
I said, as I mentioned, folks, please listen very carefully here. There are camps that are only focusing on vegan food. There are camps and they are showing results. There are camps that focus on low carb, high fat food, and they are also showing results. There are camps, those who follow the so-called Kenyan diet or the African diet, like the people, as I was saying, Kipchoge, Bekele, all these guys. Okay, they are showing results. We have the folks in India. Okay, there are South Indian, there are North Indian. They're eating their own food. They are showing results. It is just that figure out what is working for you. Okay, more so, try to go for local food. Okay, and the food that you were raised with, you might just have to tweak some things here and there based on the work that you're doing. Okay, very broad guidelines. If you really want to go deep into this thing, please consult a nutritionist. Okay, now when it comes to strength training, what Romil just suggested is that there is no point doing heavy weights. The reason being that we need to be light. We do not have to build up so much of muscles, specifically on the upper torso. The reason being that it's not going to be of any help when it comes to running. Let me emphasize, you really do not need to build up your tole sholes and your chest and all that stuff for running. What you need to focus on is your core and your lower limbs. Okay, for that one, if you do body weight or exercises, or if you do normal lightweight higher up workouts, you are good to go. Okay, you really do not need to go to the gym and build up CrossFit kind of all that stuff. I'm not saying that you cannot do CrossFit. It is all up to you, but this is where we are. Okay, in the interest of time, few things. Okay, Romil, I'm gonna do 3 days of running.
Okay.
Total mileage 50 to 70 kilometers max. Okay. And genetically, I am average.
Okay.
Okay. I do not have the genes of,
Got it.
this thing. And
Super
I am a desi guy. Okay. 5'7", not tall, not lanky, whatever this thing. With this plan, what are the chances of me getting into Boston if I do not have a chance? Or let me rephrase this thing. What is it needed to get into Boston? What is your formula for success?
See, for a Boston qualifier, I would say there are a lot of factors, and if all those factors work in your favor, then only you're going to get Boston Marathon qualifier if you're a normal guy. If you're anyone who is already gifted, then it's a different thing. But then for a normal person, everything should fall in place. Be it your nutrition, be it your training plan, be it level of commitment, be it work-life balance.
Okay.
If your office is very hectic, forget it. I mean, there's no point thinking about Boston training for that, because for a normal human being, it takes a lot of commitment. You need to have a plan which is suited to you, and you should be able to stick to it. And then once you're sticking to a plan, you should have adequate recovery built into it. For me, as I said, 3 days a week doesn't work. I mean, doesn't suit my kind of a philosophy. So I would say it's a bit difficult. Because I remember my coach also used to say at least 5 to 6 days of running are required if you want to qualify for a Boston Marathon.
Okay.
So I go with that kind of a theory. And if you're running 5 to 6 days a week, you're compromising on other aspects of life, be it a social life, be it
Correct.
a lot of other things. I mean, you're not able to focus on homework of your children.
Correct.
You're focused on what should be the plan for the next run, whether you need to do a negative split or you need to do these many intervals, these many times.
Exactly.
requires lots and lots of effort and lots of focus with a good training plan to follow that.
Yeah. From my understanding, from my analysis, because I have this formula which I personally believe, which is that success is a function of time spent and the intensity is handled. And I have seen that because for that matter, all the Boston qualifiers that I've seen in a year, they have run over 4,000 kilometers.
Right. So mileage.
Okay, that is mileage. 4,000 kilometers. That is pretty huge. If I were to divide it with, say, 52 weeks, you're approximately how much? 80 kilometers per week.
Right.
Okay, and 80 kilometers per week. And that is average. I'm sure they would be having 50 kilometers or 30 kilometers sometimes, and it goes up to 120, 160. Okay,
True.
it is not just that. It is not just that you do a 4,000 kilometers, because many of the ultra marathoners, they are doing 4,000 kilometers.
Right.
But the difference is that the Boston qualifiers push themselves in their runs. So you have your intervals where they really push. So the intensity is handled, because Boston is not about 42. You have to meet 42 at a certain time.
Correct.
And that is really tough. Okay. So from what I understand is that you really need to have good amount of mileage. So I'm talking about 4,000, in your case, it might be even more higher. And then we really have to put things in perspective that, your social life will be out of the window. Your family life has to, adjust.
True.
Okay. So only if you are able to handle those sacrifices that you can think of a Boston qualifier. But if you feel that, 50 kilometers a week, it's not going to cut it out unless and until you are genetically gifted. You're a tall, lanky person like Kipchoge with a VO2 max of 78, 79. Okay,
Right.
it's not going to cut it. Okay, how much time do we have, Srikantanda? Hello, Srikantanda.
Today we are up on time. 2 minutes up on time.
2 minutes upon time. So I think this was a good call. Srikantanda, do you feel any questions that you think has come up in your radar that you might want to ask?
There
One
are
or two questions.
there are
Just two.
there are too many questions. So maybe what we will do is we will ask Romil to respond to those questions which are missed out.
Okay.
And figure out a way to deliver it back to the group.
Sure, we can do that later.
There are too many questions. Okay.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
All right, and maybe we can ask Romil to take a minute and summarize, and we can close this session.
Yeah, Romil, you want to do that?
Yeah, sure. So interesting discussion, I would say. But then main thing, it boils down to not looking at others and thinking that if they have done it, I can also do it, because they have their different set of hard work which has gone behind in making them who they are as of now. And what suits them might not suit you. So whatever training plan you have, you follow it 100% and have faith in the coach, whosoever is guiding you or whomsoever you are taking guidance from. I'm sure you'll be able to do well. Have a good nutrition plan. Focus on the food you're eating. I mean, try and avoid eating out, no sugar and no fry stuff, those kind of things which we all are aware. If you do that, then I think it'll be good. And first and foremost thing I would say is that make sure you run for maximum age. That should be the criteria. If you are able to run for maximum time in life, then your heart muscles will be better, because you're running continuously again and again. And heart is one thing which is at the center of all your running. If your heart is efficient, everything else will fall in place. The leg muscles and everything will be taken care of. If your heart is behaving normally, you'll be a healthy person. And then if you're running more, then your social life, everything improves. Your outlook towards life will also go up. Anybody has got any questions, please feel free to ask after this as well. So I'll be more than happy to address any questions you have. I'll just go through whatever things are there. And Milan, I'll be able to answer him separately. And
so what we will do is, Srikantanda has already, captured all these questions. He's going to send it to you. You can respond it, and then, it will be posted in the
I
WhatsApp
compile
group.
all the questions, Romil. So you can do maybe one video, and then we can post it into the group, and they can.
We'll do that.
Yeah. Okay,
Fine,
so thank you,
Okay.
everybody. Thank you for your patience, time, and being a good audience. Thank you, Romil, and thank you,
Thank,
Sujat. Right.
thanks,
Thank
Sujata.
you, guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
Shrikant sir.
Thanks a
Bye-bye.
lot.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.